So this is Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur, and I begin from the how he translates and how he's translating the Sikshashtaka, verse number 3. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more forbearing than a tree, and who does not desire personal honor, but is always prepared to give all respect to others, is qualified to always chant the holy name of Krishna. Four very special qualities: a natural meekness and humility because of total detachment from matter, pure compassion, unencumbered by envy, a spotless heart free from mundane, false prestige, and a proper respectful attitude towards everyone. When the holy name, the full embodiment of all transcendental rasas, appears in the sadhaka's heart, his attitude of mind is transformed. He thinks, I am constitutionally an infinitesimal eternal servitor of Lord Krishna. I have no real need for materialism, but alas, because of my estrangement from Krishna's lotus feet, I find myself in my present predicament. Being bound to the grinding wheel of repeated birth and death, I am suffering untold miseries. Now, by the grace of my spiritual master and the Vaishnavas, I have come to realize that only by devotional service to the Supreme Lord can I find release from the distresses of material existence, be reinstated in my constitutional position, regain my spiritual identity, and attain love of God. But as long as I am not freed from the chains of material bondage, I am obliged to embrace the path of Yukta Vairagya. So let me repeat that last part. But as long as I am not freed from the chains of material bondage, I am obliged to embrace the path of Yukta Vairagya, renunciation by actively engaging the senses in the Lord's service. Yukta Vairagya. Relying upon Sambandha Gyan, I will have to accept matter for my bare necessities to keep body and soul together. And till when will this happen? Just a little pause. Till I am not freed from the chains of material bondage, that grinding wheel of repeated birth and death. Back to Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. Misery stemming from paucity, disease, calamity, and old age, and happiness caused by wealth, health, beauty, and education are called prarabdha, karmic reactions, and must be experienced as inseparable features of this present body. I will not be able to avoid such reactions. In any case, loss and gain, birth and death, suffering and joy are left behind when one ascends to the spiritual plane. Therefore, these mundane matters are inconsequential to my actual life. I will approach the Lord with utmost humility and pray, O Krishna, O Govinda, O Lord of my heart, when will I be engaged in your divine service? Kindly be merciful upon this lowly creature now and quickly accept me as your servitor. In this mood, I may either renounce my family or remain at home living frugally. It doesn't matter, for by Krishna's grace, I will somehow sustain my life. A dead straw in the street is simply matter. Accordingly, its ego or identity naturally corresponds to its factual existence, for a straw is but a straw. But my present ego is ahankar, made up of gross and subtle coverings. It does not tally with my original spiritual self. So here, just a pause, Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur he's pulling our attention to the ego aspect of the straw and us. Back to Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. The straw's abhiman or ego is factual. The straw in the street, uska abhiman, his abhiman or his ego is factual. But my material ego is unreal. Anilji, do you appreciate that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Joy. Okay. Therefore, it is only correct that I become more humble than the straw in the street. Now, does it make more sense? Why I'm more humble than a straw in the street?
Yes, sir.
Because the straw in the street perfectly knows who and what it is. Whereas I have no clue. So therefore, more humble than the straw in the street. The meaning of more tolerant than a tree is as follows. The tree is so tolerant that it cannot even neglect to offer its cooling shade and succulent fruits to the very person who is going to cut it down. The devotee of Lord Krishna is even more kind because he is compassionate to everyone, friend or foe, desiring only their best. One who chants the holy name without offenses is overwhelmed with thoughts of the well-being of others. He thinks, O Lord, my friends, companions, and all other living entities are so very unfortunate. How shall they be able to develop love and attraction for chanting your all auspicious name? They are sunken in the quagmire of familial attachments, wealth and property, petty successes and reverses, loss and profit, joys and sufferings, birth and death, and on, all because they are blinded by Maya. And just a quick pause here, I want to point out to you is Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur has put loss, profit, birth, death, joy, suffering. What are all these in essence? What do they signify?
The duality of this material world?
Jai. So we are caught in duality.
Prabhuji, can you explain that, how it is how it is a characteristic of duality of this word?
So happiness.
Because it is,
go ahead.
because it is it because of action and reaction? Is that what you're saying?
Action and reaction is because of the fact that we are in duality. But why we are caught in duality is because we are misidentifying ourselves with matter. We are subjects and we are caught in the objective world. So our nature is subjective. We are of a higher nature. We are tatastha shakti. But we are caught in this external energy, lower energy of the Lord. Thinking by our false ego that my physical self, my objective self is all in all. So because of that misidentification, I am caught in this quagmire of duality. Heat, cold, summer, winter. Joy, distress. And all other dualities. And the reason why we come to this stage, although we are higher in nature, our constitutional position is much higher. We have nothing whatsoever to do with matter. But why we come to accept this as all in all is because we have turned our backs to the Lord. Bhayam dvitiya vinibheshata syad. Ishadapetasya viparrayo asmriti. You remember that one?
Yes, sir.
Because of this duality, what is happening to us internally is it is filling us with anxiety. At every step that we take in this foreign world, we are full of anxiety. Bhaya means anxiety. Bhaya means fear and anxiety. Dvitiya vinibheshata syad, because of that second interest that we've developed to enjoy away from the central interest. There is all enjoyment. All enjoyment is there for us. We are meant to enjoy. But we have developed this second interest that I want to enjoy separately. There is this rebellion that happens. Tatastha region. And then I am made to accept this. Okay, well, you live it out. You were saying something, Anilji?
Yeah, no, I got the point, right? Why it was a characteristic of duality, right?
So because till such time that we are caught in duality, we do not realize who we really are, our constitutional position, and our relation to the master consciousness. I'm conscious, I'm a unit of consciousness, and there is this master consciousness, and we have a relationship. As I have a relationship, all other living entities have a unique relationship with the master consciousness. Once I get back into that constitutional position, no fear, no anxiety, non-dual, advaya. Advaya Gyan. That is under the Advaya Gyan. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Arjuna says what? Nashta moha smritir labdha tat prasadan mayachyata. Right? He says, Sthitau asmi gat sandeh karishye vachanam tava. The first thing he says after he understands and he comes to his constitutional position fully cognizant of, I am an eternal servant of the master consciousness, which is Krishna. He's right here. He's the master. He says, Nashta moha, my delusion is gone. Smritir labdha. What is that smriti?
Of the fear of a subjective nature, right?
No, when he says smritir labdha means something that was lost, he has found again. Huh? That original remembrance. What is that? In the Bhagavatam shlok it says, Asmriti bhayam dvitiya vinibheshata syad ishad apetasya viparrayo asmriti. And here Sri Arjuna is saying what? Smritir labdha. Now I'm in Ishagyan. I know he is the master consciousness. There is no fear that I have now. See how it connects? That smriti, that was lost by him being in duality, is now regained. Now he can see very clearly the master consciousness and how he is connected to him. And he is saying, yes, karishye vachanam tava. What you say, I shall do. Smritir labdha. So when that original consciousness, he rises up to that standard of Advaya Gyan, Isha Gyan, then everything is good. No more duality bothering him. No, like, oh, this is mine, I'm going to kill him, or I'm going to harm them, I'm going to do nothing. Why? Karishye vachanam tava. I am eternally related to the master consciousness. All of these other things that I'm thinking are inconsequential. They bear no consequence. That is Ishagyan. And rising above duality. Does that make sense, Anilji?
Yes, sir.
So that is what Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur is trying to emphasize over here is hot, cold, joy, distress, success, failure. All these things are because of our misidentification with matter. We have nothing whatsoever to do with matter. We are of a higher nature. Aparayam itastanyam prakritim viddhime param jiva bhutam mahabhavo yaidam dharyate jagat. First he explains material nature. What is material nature? Bhumi rapo analo vayu kham mano buddhi revacha ahankar ityam me bhinna prakritir ashtadha. 8th Bhumi, Apa, Anala, Vayu, Kham, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar. 8 Dhatu. These are all material. They constitute altogether, they are material nature together. Then he says, Aparayam itastvanyam. Apare means higher than this energy. First he is explaining material energy. Then he says, Aparayam itastvanyam prakritim. There is another prakriti, viddhime param. which is higher than what I just explained to you. And what is that called? Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho Yedam Dharate Jagat. And they are animating this world. Material energy is lower energy, we are higher energy, we have nothing to do with this energy, but we come down because of our natural propensity to enjoy in separation as a separate interest from the universal enjoyment. If you are aligned properly to the universal will, then there is full enjoyment. All enjoyment is there. But such is the case, we don't want that. We want to enjoy separately. We want to have our own dominion. So we want to compete with Krishna in a way. And we happily accept false ego. Why? Because without false ego, if it was a real ego, then there is no question. Then we will understand that he is the master. There is no way. How can you enjoy without him in proper ego? No. How will you enjoy without him? How can you have a separate interest? So we need a false ego and we happily accept that. Birth after birth. If that makes sense, then should we go on, Anilji?
Yes, sir.
You're happy with the explanation till now?
Yeah, completely satisfied.
Jai Gurudev. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Back to Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. I see not the slightest indication that they are disgusted with this futile material existence filled only with anarthas, unwanted things. The noose of their unlimited desires for sense gratification is slowly strangling them. They spend their valuable time busying themselves in useless affairs of karma and jnana. How can these persons be made interested in self-realization? In entreating the Lord in this manner, the devotee's heart becomes flooded with spiritual emotions. He loudly sings in the age of Kali, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way than chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastayu, 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 Gatirannatha. The word Amani reveals the third quality of devotee, whose chanting is decorated with offenselessness. Amani, you remember, Anilji? Amanina Manaden. So that Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur is focusing on is that part, Amani. The word Amani reveals the third quality of the devotee, whose chanting is decorated with offenselessness. His heart is spotlessly free from mundane ego and false prestige. The false designations of the jiva's gross and subtle body have grown up out of nescience. So gross and subtle body, there are two bodies. Anilji, like the Ashtadhatu we explained, Bhumi, Rapao, Analo, Vayu, Kham. These five, earth, water, fire, air, ether. These constitute the gross body. And then Mano, Ahankar, Mano, Buddhi. Mind, intelligence and false ego constitute the subtle body.
Subtle body, yes.
So there are two bodies. The subtle body is called a Sukshma Sharir. So at the time of death, that's what happens ordinarily. Sukshma Sharir leaves the ordinary Sharir, the gross body, and then is taken to the next birth place, to the womb of wherever one is going to emerge from, in whichever species. So the Sukshma Sharir remains. Back to Śrīla Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. The false designations of the jiva's gross and subtle body have grown up out of nescience. Yogic perfections, opulence, good looks, high birth, strength, position, influence are all features of his ahankar. They are incompatible with his real spiritual identity. Indeed, they are totally alien and false. Having a spotless heart devoid of false ego and prestige means specifically that the devotee completely distances himself from all unreal designations. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam. But what about the pride that may well follow the subjugation of false designations? What about the pride that follows the subjugation of false designations? So pride still continues to chase even after the false designations have been subjugated. Point to consider. Back to Śrīla Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. In spite of his being highly respected, the devotee who demonstrates tolerance, humility, and a pure heart is a fit candidate to chant purely. He will take care to avoid becoming proud of being honored as a Brahmana, within parenthesis, if he is a householder, or as a sannyasi, within parenthesis, if he is a renunciate. He concentrates on the lotus feet of Krishna and chants his holy name. He considers himself as an aspiring servant of the Lord's eternal servants. So he is never envious or spiteful to anyone. And what is Śrīla Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur explaining? The third quality, amani. Back to Śrīla Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. He pleases everyone with sweet, sublime words and exemplary actions that bring benediction to the world. He offers respect to distinguished personalities such as learned Brahmanas, to Brahma, Shiva, and other demigods. He offers obeisance with utmost humility, praying to them for increasing his devotion to Lord Krishna. And to elevated Vaishnavas and pure devotees, he offers service with heart and soul. Hare Krishna. The chanting of the holy name that is felicitated with the above mentioned four qualities is the highest success in human life. Success in human life has just been defined by Śrīla Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. If anyone has any doubt about what is being successful, then let me repeat this one more time.
One more time.
Yes, Dandavad, Dandavad. I know, Anika wants to hear it one more time. The chanting of the holy name that is felicitated with the above mentioned 4 qualities is the highest success in human life. And I will give you, since you are late here, I will tell you in brief what are the 4 qualities. Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur says in the beginning, this is for you, Anika, 4 very special qualities. Number 1, a natural meekness and humility because of total detachment from matter. Pure compassion, unencumbered by envy. A spotless heart free from mundane, false prestige, and a proper respectful attitude towards everyone. So I will also write this for you and send it to your father and your mother, so then you can take a look. Is that agreeable? Okay. So these are the 4 qualities. If you have them, then you're successful. Not because you are having lunch in big restaurants, not because you have a big house, not because you have fancy cars, or any of that. If you have these 4 qualities, you are successful. Anilji, how beautiful and how encouraging is Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur here. Very clearly defining what success is.
Yeah. That's correct, sir.
Otherwise, everyone is so confused about chasing successful people. Not knowing what success is.
Harinam Sankirtan.
Hare Krishna. Jai Gurudev. Govinda Govinda. Okay, back to Srila Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur. This is the declaration of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most magnanimous avatar and savior of the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. Then he is quoting an entire passage from Chaitanya Charitamrita Antalila. Uttamahana apana ke mane trinadhama dui prakare सहिष्णुता करे वृक्ष समा वृक्षयेन काटिलेह किचुना बोलय सुखाना माइलेह कारे पानिना मागय ये मागय तारे दे आपना धन घरम वृष्टि सहे आनेर करे रक्षण उत्तम हन वैष्णव हवे निरभिमान जीवे सम्मान दिवे जानी कृष्ण अधिष्ठान. Jiva Samman honors all jivas. How? Why? Krishna Adhishtan. He knows Krishna resides. Sarvasya chaham hriday sanivishto matta smriti ragyanam apohanam cha. He knows Krishna is in everyone's heart. E matahana ye Krishna namala Shri Krishna charane tandra prema upajaya. Then that leads to love of God. Although he is the most exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass. And like a tree, he tolerates everything in these two ways. When a tree is chopped down, it does not object. And even if dying of thirst, it does not ask anyone for water. Still, anyone asks anything from that tree, it delivers all its fruits, flowers, and whatever it possesses to anyone and everyone. That's why Taroriva Sahishnuna. That's why tree has been given as the example of Sahishnata, tolerance. It tolerates scorching heat and bitter storms, yet it still gives shelter to others. Similarly, although Vaishnava is most exalted, still he is prideless and affords all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the dwelling place of Krishna. If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna in this consciousness, then certainly pure love of Krishna's lotus feet will awaken within him. For one who knows themselves to be the eternal servant of Lord Krishna, his eternal dharma or religion is chanting the holy name, whether he is a resident of this material world or enters into the spiritual sky. There is no better means for attaining all-round benefit and success for humanity than the chanting of the holy name. For chanting brings good fortune to others and all auspiciousness to the self. This shloka, Tranadapi Shunichain, was composed for the sole reason of clearly establishing how to avoid namaparad and namabhas in chanting. So it's been I'm going to pause here if you permit, Chinmay Prabhu and Anilji and everyone else. We will continue because this is very wonderful. We can do this rest of the essay we can do next week. Is that agreeable?
Yes, very nice.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so
Hare Krishna.
let me see. Hare Krishna. On Facebook, Madhav Prabhu is saying Dandavad, and then Prema Rupa Devi Dasi ji is wishing everyone. So Dandavat Pranam to everyone. I have limited ability to see who all are with us, but please continue to bless us and forgive us for our offenses. And give me a second, let me round up the troops. I'll be right back.
It's okay. All good.
भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Hari Haraya Namah Krishnaya Yadavaya Namaha
Hariharaya Namah Krishna Jadavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra
Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Jaya Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath
Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath
Jai Gosai Kori Charana Vandan
Shai Gosai Kori Charana Vandan
Jaha Hoite Vignana Shabishta Puran
Jahavate Vignana Sabishta Puran
Jai Gosai Jarmui Taradas
Shai Gosai Jaramuli Taradas
Savara Padarenu Mora Panchagras
Tasavara Padarenu Mora Panchagras
Tadera Charana Sevi Vaktasane Bas
Charane Se Vivakta Sane Bas
Janame Janame Morai Abhilash
Janame Morai Abhilash
Jai Gosai Jave Vraja Koilabas
Shai Gosai Dave Braja Kailavas
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash
Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Lila Prakash
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan
Anande Bala Hari Bhaja Vrindavan
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas
Hari Naam Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Das
Hari Naam Sankirtana Kahe Narottama Das
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha
Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar, Jai Gauranga Sundar.
Joy. Okay, Anika ji, please.
Jai Saprika Shri Guru Granga Gadvar Govind Shindar Giri Dari Gopila Jiv Ki Jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Vishnu Bhatmang Shah Parva Chakravari Astara Satashi Srimad Bhakti Sundar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Vishnu Bhatmang Shah Parva Chakravari Astara Satashi Srimad Bhakti Rakta Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Vishnu Bhatmang Shah Parva Chakravari Astara Satashi Srimad Bhakti Sanatana Saraswati Ṭhākur Ki Jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Shri Vaishwa Goishwar Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Shri Vaishwa Sachidānand Bhaktivinod Ṭhākur Ki Jai.
Joy.
Jai Om Shri Vaishwa Bhaktivinod Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Panuka Guru Varga Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākur Ki Jai.
Joy.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Baladeva Vedabhushan Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Vishwanath Thakur Prabhu Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasacharya Prabhu Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Vindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Ki Jai. Saprasad Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai.
Joy.
Saprasad Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Lakshmi Vardeva Ki Jai. Shri the Bhaktivinod Vinasha Shri Nrsimha Deva Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai.
Joy.
Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai.
Joy.
Ganga Jamuna Ji Ki Jai.
Joy.
Randhu Radha Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai.
Joy.
Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha Ki Jai.
Joy.
Raja Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai.
Joy.
Tadisaka Mat Ki Jai.
Joy.
Vishva Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai.
Joy.
Vishva Pabhyata Desaka Mat Ki Jai.
Joy.
Siddhamayapur Ki Jai.
Joy.
Siddham Ravidi Ki Jai.
Joy.
Dandavan Purushottam Dham Ki Jai.
Joy.
Baladeva Subhadra Yamuna Ji Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Govinda Kunda Ki Jai.
Joy.
Shri Shri Shiva Ganga Rajiv Ki Jai.
Joy.
Samveda Vaishnava Mandal Ki Jai.
Joy.
Samveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai.
Joy.
Harinam Nitan Ki Jai.
Joy.
Nitai Gopnande Hari
Hari Hari Bol. Jai. Shri Anika ji, Preeti ji, Bikram ji and family ki jai. Nandarani Didi ki jai. Our guest Shri Anil ji ki jai. Our panelist Shripad Chinmay Dev Prabhu ki jai. Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. जय भगवान श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय. जय श्री श्रीला सच्चिदानंद भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर की जय। जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। जय विश्वरेण्य श्रीला एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय श्रीला भक्ति पावन जनार्दन महाराज की जय। जय श्रीला भक्ति निर्मल आचार्य महाराज की जय। श्री चैतन्य सारस्वत मठ आचार्य वृंद की जय। सपार्षद श्रीमन नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। सपार्षद श्रीमन महाप्रभु की जय। रूप नुग गुरुवर्ग की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। All the assembled devotees की जय। नित्याय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Okay, I just